Saying goodbye has never hurt so much. My name is Taylor, and let's recap the final Cup race at Auto Club Speedway's 2-mile layout. Welcome back to Above the Yellow Line, and we have to start out with our crazy stats on this weekend's winner, Kyle Busch. This is his 5th win at Auto Club Speedway, his 61st Cup Series win in total, making him 9th on the all-time winners list. And with this victory, Kyle Busch now goes 19 straight seasons with a win, meaning that he beat Richard Petty's record for the most consecutive seasons with a win in NASCAR history. And finally, with this win, and the stat that I personally think is the coolest, is that Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch become the winningest brothers in NASCAR history with a cumulative total of 95 wins, beating out Bobby Allison and Donnie Allison. What's most incredible about this is Kyle Busch won this race with a speeding penalty early on in the day. Though this win was incredible, it did not shock me because if you remember last year with Tyler Reddick in the 8 car, he swept stages 1 and stages 2 but did not win the race because a tire went down on his car. If it wasn't for the tire, I'm pretty sure Tyler Reddick would have won the race, and knowing Kyle Busch's history at this track being in the 8 car this year, and knowing that he was riding in the same setup as Tyler Reddick did last year, Kyle was my bet. And after being a factor during the Clash, and then almost winning one of the duels, and then almost winning the Daytona 500 to having the winning car this weekend, if you are not Kyle Busch, you are scared of Kyle Busch and what the 8 team is currently doing. All I gotta say is don't poke the bear, because when the cards are against him, Kyle Busch will rise. And for me, with all the stats I just mentioned and everything above, this makes Kyle Busch our FilterTime MVP of the week. The rest of your top 10, Chase Elliott finishes 2nd, a very nice rebound from Daytona. Ross Chastain, one of the fastest cars over the weekend, finished 3rd. Teammate Suarez finished 4th. Harvick 5th, Hamlin 6th, Keselowski 7th, Bowman 8th, Austin Dillon 9th, and 10th, Joey Logano. For me, one of the major storylines I took out of Sunday's race was penalties. We saw 24 infractions according to NASCAR's post-race report. So penalty here and there is expected, it's fine, but what you don't want to do is lose a tire, and that's what Martin Truex Jr. did. Even though he had a really fast car this weekend, it was penalty after penalty for him and his team, and it just didn't end up well for him. He did finish in the 11th position, which is good, but I feel like he was a top 10 car. Just because of those mistakes, he wasn't able to make it back into the top 10. Going into this year, NASCAR changed their loose tire penalty because if you remember last year, the penalty was very steep. This year, it's still steep, but it's understandable. Martin Truex Jr. made contact with another car as he was leaving pit road. As he was limping his damaged car back onto the track, the tire went loose. And with the tire going rogue on the track, that is a 2-week suspension for 2 crew members and a 2-lap penalty during the race. So again, not as hefty as last year, but it still teaches you a little bit of a lesson. So we'll have to see what these penalties will look like moving forward. I think we're just shaking off the rust right now. If I would have to put a number to it though, my prediction is that we're going to have maybe 6 loose tire penalties this season. I know it's early and we could have way more. We could have 6 or less, but knowing how this worked last year, hopefully these teams learned a little bit with the single lug nut and how that works. I think we're going to have probably 6 loose tire penalties this entire season. Something I did not expect at all was the big one at Auto Club. It was the biggest wreck in Cup Series history at that track. Very fitting for the final race on that 2-mile layout. I was very confused at first as to what exactly happened, but after looking back at the tapes, we figured it out pretty quick. Now on the restart, Joey Logano was leading that outside line. And with the restart zone expanded, Joey Logano can really accelerate whenever he wants as long as it's not before that car to his inside who was leading the charge, which was Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano said he was late on the restart because the car on the inside of him, Denny Hamlin, wasn't getting going. He was laying back, so Joey Logano was waiting for him to get up next to him so they could accelerate. Those behind Joey thought that he was going to accelerate much sooner, so they were stepping on the gas, and unfortunately, because Joey did not accelerate when they thought, it caused a major pileup behind them and left some really good cars out of the fight for the win at the end of the day. For me, the biggest loser out of this was Christopher Bell. He had a really solid car. Maybe it wasn't the best of the field, but I would have liked to have seen his day play out. I think he had a top 10 car at least. So I hated for Christopher Bell, but my gosh, that was the weirdest thing to see on TV on a restart of all times in the race to have a big wreck. It was that. So that was the big one at Auto Club. What a way to go out. Now it's time to rate this race above or below the yellow line, and my thoughts is Auto Club, the 2-mile layout, should not leave the schedule. I know the past few years the racing there was not great, it was kind of on the chopping block, but when the Gen 7 car went there for the first time last season, the racing was spectacular, one of my favorite races on the schedule last year. Obviously, NASCAR announced this past week that they sold a majority of the land for Auto Club, leaving around 89, 98, something like that acres left for a short track layout. So we're going to have a track most likely in the future, and obviously Auto Club's not going to be on the schedule next year. We're not sure when it's going to come back exactly, but we're not going to have that beautiful 2-mile layout that we saw some incredible racing on this weekend. I could literally sit here and do a whole video essay on why we need Auto Club to stay in the schedule, but because most of the land has already been sold, there's really no point. It's going to happen. The track is going to go away. There's no point in me arguing this to you. Just know that I have a deep love for this track, and I wish it would not go. That said, I would much rather have this track leave on a high note than leave on a negative one. We had some crazy restarts that produced incredible racing. 3, 4, 5 wide going into the corners on the straightaways. It was spectacular. For me, the most exciting part was seeing these drivers struggle to get a handle on their cars. I think when we see the drivers working that hard at a track, you know it's going to be a good race. Auto Club, it's a really bumpy surface. We saw a lot of sandblasting to the nose of these cars. I mean, it is a rough track, and I think that's what made it so fun as a fan to watch. So with all of that said, I'm really going to miss this track. I got to give this race an 88%. I don't want to push the envelope right now of going all the way to a 90. It's too early in the season for me. I could go back and totally change this rating when it's all said and done, but I'm going to give this race an 88%, making it above the yellow line. So Auto Club, we salute you. Thank you for all the amazing memories. I cannot believe this is it. I can't believe we're not racing at this 2-mile configuration anymore. It has been such a blast to see all the racing over the years. But what do you think? What do you think about the final race at Auto Club? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, we are done with this episode of ATYL. For more content from me, make sure to check out the links in the description below on more places to find me. And finally, I want to give a huge shout out to FilterTime for supporting us here at TobyChristieCom and Above the Yellow Line. They have a great promo code for you all, Toby15, to get 15% off your first order on FilterTime's website. We have another live stream coming up this Thursday night at 7 Eastern Time, so make sure you're there for a gaming live stream. If you have any suggestions on what games you want me to play, make sure to tag me in them on Twitter. But that's it for now, so until next time, I'll see ya. Want to watch more great NASCAR content? Make sure to check out the videos right here.